pleased to have with me Eric Pavoni from Bobst, and he's going to share with us some of his insight into post-COVID world that we live in. Good morning. Good morning to you, Eric. How are you?
Good morning, Fraser.
Yeah.
I'm doing fantastically good because now I'm back to the office and almost going back to the normal life and normal business life.
Good to hear.
But fortunately, we are living in Switzerland where the Bob's headquarters is based, but it's not the case in every country in the world, unfortunately, yet.
Of course not. No. Just give me a little bit of insight into you as a person, just so that for the audience that they can understand who you are. My interest really in this conversation is to talk a little bit about Bob's and particularly your focus on areas of sustainability and packaging. We'll come to that in a moment, but I just want to kind of hear from you. Tell me a little bit about you in terms of your role at the organization.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Fraser, to give me the opportunity to introduce myself. So my name is Eric Pavoni. I'm based in Switzerland, in Lausanne, where the Bob's headquarters is based. I'm with Bob for more than 15 years. I'm active now in the flexible packaging business and labels as business development director for what we call the business unit WebFed. Because in Bob's we have three different business unit service, business unit sheet-fed, where the historical core of business started more than 100 years ago. And I'm acting now in the flexible packaging and label area of business.
Brilliant. And I guess for me, that's my particular interest, because I sense that looking at our own research and the numbers that we're getting, that one of the areas that's doing quite well out of this particular crisis, which is challenging generally for industry, one of those areas is obviously the packaging market. It's in some segments, it's doing quite well. Is that your sense? Is that what you're seeing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And maybe sharing with you and the audience what, let's say, the last 2 years we have been focusing on is really to work more closely with brand owners, key converters, and key partners in industry to work all together in partnership, especially on innovation and sustainability topics, because it's involving a lot of, investment, R&D, research, etc. And now interacting with these key players in our industry, what I can share with you that last 2 months due to COVID, really the flexible packaging market and the labels have been really impacted. But on the food application side, I mean, the business has been very positively impacted by a big increase of demands of packaging, because mainly COVID and the closing of the restaurant has boosted the consumption of finished food products. Yeah. And this is a clear impact of the COVID. Yeah, and this is interesting, discussing with the big brand owners like PepsiCo, Nestle, or Unilever, etc.
Yep.
Depending the segment of the applications of packaging, it's depending on that, but also depending of the geographical area. For example, you go in the US. I mean, in the US, the habit to go to a restaurant is probably higher than in Europe or in Asia, etc. So in the US, I mean, the demand of flexible packaging made a big step up.
Are you saying that at the moment, during this crisis, people are still going to restaurants? Or are you saying in general the trend? Right, okay.
Due to the closing of the restaurant, there is a big increase of demand in packaging, but if you go area by area, you will see, for example, in US, a bigger increase of flexible packaging needs compared to Europe and Southeast Asia. But globally is the main reason. And the converters, yes, they clearly try to cope with this higher demand and with the problem of able to produce, etc. But globally, this is the big learnings out of this crisis.
So you, at the moment, you mentioned to me, and before our conversation, we'd said that some of those big brands like Nestle and Pepsi Cola are talking to you at the moment. I mean, obviously, there's a sort of confidentiality issue, but I wondered whether you could just give us an indication of what kind of areas they're particularly looking at, because it's interesting for us to understand where those big brands see things happening going forward.
The main topic is sustainability.
Oh,
Sustainability,
really? Okay.
yeah. Because the last 2-3 months, the main focus for brand owners and converters was how to cope with this sudden increase of demand of existing flexible packaging. This is the short-term issue. But I think, and we hope in 1, 2, 3, 4 months, we will go back to normal. But what I can share with you in terms of innovation, project pipeline, and sustainability, target, nothing has changed. It's just
nothing has changed. Do you sense, in a way, Eric, that maybe this has even focused our mind a little bit on areas such as and related to sustainability, like things like supply chain? There's a sense, isn't there, that people are nervous now about things coming from areas like China, the sense that it will take time, or that there's this chain has been broken, and therefore we're thinking, actually, maybe we should be supplying more locally, maybe we should try to centralize a little bit our production processes. Do you sense that's coming through?
Not really specifically on this, because when you talk about sustainability, you need to go through innovation, R&D process, and what is missing now is really industrial solution, monomaterial, high barrier, PE-based or PP. So what is missing now is a global supply. Available. Because missing, the industrial solution and the converters need to still ramp up and build up, the industrial solution related to this new structure.
Sure.
I'm talking about recyclability, but then we can talk about biofilm solutions, high barrier, and we can talk about high barrier paper. Everything is in either innovation, R&D, or industrialization phase, but clearly it will impact, or the question will be raised on the supply chain, on the runnability, on etc. But step by step. So
okay. But you sense that this sustainability story still remains significant. There were some comments I heard earlier that obviously we've been quite concerned about packaging. That was one issue. And particularly packaging that was plastic packaging, that became kind of a significant issue. And then obviously some products have been loose packed, if that makes sense. Fruit, for example, or would be loose packed. And I'd heard that there were some issues where there was concern that what was happening was that items that were loose packed were then up against something that had a label on, and maybe there was ink, and there was a passing over of that ink onto the fresh fruit. So there's kind of this challenge of shifting away from packaging towards everything being free, not packaged, is actually causing other issues. Do you recognise this? Is this something that's an issue?
Fraser, we are dealing with $100 billion market consumption every year. We are dealing with almost 40 million tons of flexible packaging market use every year. You can imagine in this huge market, there is room for everything. There is room for everything. There is room for moving into non-packing, room for going, labeling, room for moving from plastic to paper. Plastic will be more recyclable. Plastic will move into bio. So, I mean, there is opportunity for everybody and every kind of applications.
Yeah, sure.
So, you cannot say, but I would say the big trend is investment in biofilm solution for the future. It will take time.
Yeah.
It will take time.
Yeah.
But the main focus now is on recyclability. And and there are big investments from oil companies, big brand owners to invest in the recycling chain, improve the solution, etc. But once again, from the converting side, we need to come with a higher offering in the market, industrial scale.
Sure. So
does it make sense?
Of course. Yeah, of course. I just wonder whether, as a business, Bob's have and will do moving forward, been looking at the way that they would encourage businesses to operate. So whether there's a sense that they're looking for and trying to help companies in terms of automation, in terms of kind of simplification of production. Is this a kind of key thread that's going through the sort of Bob's thinking at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is part of the Bob strategy and driven directly by our CEO, is to bring really Bob's, the contribution to sustainability, as I said, to bring machinery and solution able to speed up the time to market industrial solutions from Bob's machine, but also in terms of connectivity and productivity of the Bob's equipment, thinking about connectivity, industry 4.0. How you can connect the Bob's equipment to get access to all the production data, optimization, interface with the systems and the mold.
That's a big challenge, isn't it? And I guess at the moment, because of this whole crisis, there's an issue with investment and with finance, and that people might be a little bit nervous of kind of big investment. Everything you said is logical. Everything you say is completely, and any business should be thinking about this going forward. But it's going to be a challenge, isn't it, in the sort of new dynamic that we face with the investment involved in these things. Are you saying that Bob's as an organisation is wanting to help their customers get through this challenge and then get onwards, or how do you see that working?
I mean, in every business, you need to have a vision. You need to have a vision, a strategy, and it's a long term.
Yeah,
and Bob's is a long-term company. Yeah, we are mainly family-owned companies. We have the chance to work on a long-term journey. The strategy is clear, set by our CEO. It's going to be sustainability, connectivity, and productivity. And our technical team are working on this. The objective was to present the latest Bob generation machinery and concept at Drupal.
Yeah, sure.
Now we need to find out how we will communicate with the world, but we are working on it. So anyway,
that's a challenge, isn't it? That is a challenge, because inevitably, we, as event organisers, we're looking at that. That's why we're running this virtual summit, because we feel that it's important for companies to continue to connect like we are connecting.
Absolutely.
But it is going to be a challenge for Drupal, for example, next year. It's still going to be difficult to potentially get people together. What's your view on that? What's your sort of sense with the sort of going back again, when we talked before, you mentioned that your service engineers used to go in and kind of go to customers on a regular basis, so they would travel to a location. I think you mentioned to me before that service engineers are now having to do everything remotely, which is fine and working well. Do you think that kind of pattern of travel and things will change? You're seeing it, so how will it change in terms of going to customers and relationship with customers?
Sure. No, but everybody is hoping that we will go back to normal. But the positive thing of COVID that we have really discovered how to make things sometime quicker and more efficiently remotely. There are things you can do, and we are learning, and probably we will see in the future, yes, how we can better communicate more efficiently with our customer, how to communicate our innovations and the value proposition. I think here we can do it. But there are things, you need to develop the local competencies around the world to be local, to be close.
That's a
you
good
need
point.
to have, because, we are when you are in the service, it's okay. But as soon as you are in production, you need to have, physical activity, create value by doing things. You need to have access to production tools, etc. And then this is important to have all the remote control and support. Yes, but you need to have competent people in front of customers in the plant.
So you think it will? You sense that it will return? People will still have to go and face people, to do business, if that makes sense, face to face.
We are in the production industry, okay?
Yeah. So it will just. So you think it'll just ease back in? Do you sense there's learning though? Do you think we've learned something from this? So will it change our behaviour? What elements will be changed? What do you think?
Yes, probably, as I share with you. In innovation projects, all the project we have in the pipelines. I think the last 2 months we have learned that having our customer or partner managing the project remotely, I think we learn how to do it more efficiently.
Yeah. So is that what you're saying? You sense that in a way you'll give the responsibility over to the customer to manage some of this, because that's probably the sensible way of doing it.
What we learned that traveling less, we have more time and to dedicate it to projects and to make things happen. But at the end, if you want also to create a new business opportunity or create new projects, sometimes it's important to be in the market and in front of the customers.
Do you? I guess that Drupal is not taking place this year. You had some things you planned to talk about. Are you able to talk about them at this stage, or are you going to save them for next year? What were you going to show in June in Drupal that was unique?
In Drupal we had a long list of new machines.
And what were they doing, Eric? What were these new machines doing? What was special about them? What's kind of unique?
As I said before, it's a lot related to sustainable solutions,
right, okay.
And flexible packaging, labels. It's a lot related of shortened time to market solution in printing, connectivity. Our vision for the future,
So this was quite a holistic approach you were taking.
Absolutely.
Wasn't it? It's quite a holistic approach to not just a sort of a solve a problem now, let's move on. This was a holistic approach. This is Bob's kind of thinking about going forward, your vision in terms of the whole approach to packaging and relationship with converters and print and all these things. This was kind of a big picture thinking, was it?
Absolutely. Okay. And now our marketing teams are putting together a plan how to communicate now without the help and support of these big shows.
Yeah, of course.
We need to find a way.
Yeah. I just will share with you some of our research that we had from last week. I think it might be interesting for you just to see and see whether there's any sort of comment you've got to any of these. Sorry. Let me just share that again. So when we did some research, we were asking people, what do you expect to see permanently change once the lockdown has eased? The big things was there would obviously be an increase in virtual meetings and events, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
significant reduction in business travel. You mentioned that, didn't you?
Yes.
You mentioned that. You sense that?
Clearly, yes. We believe the traveling will, the intensity of traveling will go down for sure.
And we also asked about the challenges of general manufacturing retail supply chain, and whether there was a sort of anything that came out of that, whether there was sort of going to be need for increased collaboration or decentralized manufacturing, reshoring the manufacturing again. There's this little bit of a sense that the reshoring might kind of come in there, 57%. Do you sense this kind of fits with your thinking?
Anyway, the collaboration approach, I think now it goes through all the industry, because I think everybody realized that now the challenges are so time and financially intensive that nobody can really make breakthrough innovation alone. So the future is collaborative.
Yeah.
Now local sourcing, etc. I don't know, but it goes into more efficient solution, sustainable solution, etc. I think it need to be integrated in the equation for the future and for the packaging.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense. Any last thoughts that you have, or any comments about? I mean, obviously we ran this virtual summit to keep people connected, keep getting the industry talking to the printers, the converters. Anything that you just wanted to sort of say at the end of this, just to kind of give a vision? Not so much that it doesn't even have to be a Bob's vision. It's your own personal view of this, of going forward. We're in where we are in the middle of the middle of the year. We've got 6 months to go to the end of the year. A lot of people are sensing that probably things will still take time to kickstart. As we said, things like remote working and all that sort of thing will come in. But what do you said in terms of the organisation of Bobston, and is there anything that you would like to just say, final few words?
No, but I think the takeaway or the learning of COVID, I mean, let's take it on the positive side, because I mean you can always raise the negative side, right? In the positive side, I think learning is that packaging it's essential, let's say, for the world, because we are linked to food. So packaging is linked to food, is essential.
Yeah, why is it essential though? Why is it, Eric? Why do we need to package? To keep it fresh?
Because we are protecting the food, Okay, still 30% of the food is wasted around the world. 30%, 30 is wasted because lack of packaging from the field to the shop.
Consumption, yeah.
So it's huge. So
and that's a waste, isn't it? That's a resource issue, isn't it? So,
absolutely. So the potential is huge. Even if we go to crisis, I mean, the packaging is essential. So this is the good
for protection purposes. I guess also it gives you flexibility in terms of branding. So you can put brand on there, or you can also put messaging on there. So it's important. But that's my question, is whether it's essential, and so you feel that for lots of products
it's essential. But all the industry now need to address the problems, and the problem are recyclability, littering, and going into bio, because at the end of the story, 2025 is almost there. And we have strong commitment from brand owners, key players in industry, retailers, and political systems.
So I guess what you're saying is nothing really changes. The same themes exist, the same sense that big brands want to make differences, governments want to make differences. Actually, we as consumers want changes. So you say nothing changes, carry on, just learn from what we've seen and perhaps enhance this.
I'm talking about the long-term vision.
Of course,
Yes,
of course,
I mean,
yeah.
so now we should not forget that yes, people are dying, and
Yeah.
the main priority now is to save people around the world, etc. But these are the main priorities. But if we talk about our industry long-term vision, I mean, we have no choice. We have no choice because this is for the next generations.
Yeah. And it relates, as you said, to resources, to sustainability, to managing, everything, that whole kind of supply chain. Eric, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate that. That's been quite insightful. We've had some interesting thoughts there, and got a sense of where you and Bobster are going forward. And also, as you said, some of your customers like Nestle and PepsiCo are kind of continuing to think this is the future, and we have to make these differences, and you as an organisation are looking at that. So thank you very much. Really appreciate
You're welcome.
that, and we'll perhaps see you again sometime.